Great to hear from Cedric there. Well, the wait is finally over. The main race is about to start. We've got 10 professional drivers about to go head-to-head on GT Sport around Dragon Shell, all a part of the Monégasque community. You'd run out of fingers and toes to count the amount of titles between these guys. They've stood on F1 podiums, 24-hour Le Mans podiums, F2 podiums, F3 podiums, FIA World Endurance Championship podiums. I think you're getting the idea of where I'm going for this. They are very, very good at what they do. Let's see them go head-to-head, shall we? On GT Sport. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic race, no doubt about that. A 10-lap race, and then after this we're going to have 2 fun races as well with more relaxed rules, and the first of those is going to be a reverse grid. This is the grid for you. We've got Perel and Pourchaire on row 1, the Leclerc brothers on row number 2, Chatin and Engel on row 3, Sbieazzuoli and Pizzitola are then on row number 4. We've got Pantani and Disdier at the back of the field. Right, here we go. We are away and racing. David Perel is going to lead us away down towards turn number 1 for the first time, but it's a brilliant start from Charles Leclerc, and he immediately takes the lead before we even get in towards turn number 1. Charles Leclerc firing off the line in his Ferrari 458, and he leads us as we go down towards turn number 2. Out of the chicane for the first time. Perel is in second, Pourchaire in third. We got Pizzitola and Engel fighting there. Oh, and a bit of side-by-side contact, both of them just about escaping trouble. Perel is in second place, Pourchaire in third, Arthur Leclerc is in fourth place, Sbieazzuoli is then in fifth. Then we got Paul-Loup Chatin in sixth place. Pantani has come up to seventh place. I think Pourchaire just getting a wheel on the grass there, kicking up some dust as Arthur Leclerc goes through to third place. So not the best of starts here for Theo Pourchaire, but there is still 9.5 laps to go as David Perel now goes on the attack to try and retake his lead since losing it off the line, and he's gone back past the Ferrari F1 driver Charles Leclerc. So good driving from the South African David Perel, now back into the lead as we head through the chicanes for the first time. Arthur Leclerc getting a little bit closer with the two leaders battling there. Oh, as Arthur Leclerc just running into the wall a little bit. You can see what taking risks through that chicane can do to you. It's backfired on Arthur this time, and Pourchaire has comfortably gone back through into third. This is Chatin here, Pizzitola and Sbieazzuoli, also Engel, who's got into this battle, and he's now just made his way into seventh place. Sadly, Disdier and Pantani have run into problems somewhere, and both of those have dropped off the back of the field. But once again, we're side by side at the front. Charles Leclerc going back into the lead here ahead of Perel. So a real boxing match going on between these two. Likewise between Arthur Leclerc and Theo Pourchaire as well. Really, we got Arthur Leclerc, Theo Pourchaire really need to try and work together here to try and close down Perel and Charles Leclerc. They've got a chance with the two leaders ahead battling away to work together and close each other down, but it's very easy for me to say that sat where I am instead of those guys, of course, where they are on track. All of this, of course, as well as being a great race, a little bit of fun as well. Where Chatin there goes down the inside of Sbieazzuoli, Pizzitola trying to go past Cedric as well. Behind that is Engel, so Engel has lost that place to Pizzitola once again as they now make their way down to this right-hander downhill braking zone. This so very easy to run wide, and as demonstrated there, that looked like Engel. I think that may have been going into the back of Sbieazzuoli, backing off on the exit it seemed as well. Leclerc leading Pourchaire here, Arthur that is, as Pourchaire just losing the rear a little bit on the exit of the chicane. So Leclerc giving a little bit of breathing space for the time being, but I can tell you he's going to have Pourchaire climbing all over the back of him. Oh, is Arthur Leclerc there getting a little bit sideways coming out the last corner. That's gifted third place back to Pourchaire. It's Arthur Leclerc who's now going to be in the slipstream heading down towards turn number 1. This on lap number 3 of 10 as David Perel once again side by side with Charles Leclerc. Down towards the chicane we go, and Perel does the exact same move Charles Leclerc did to him 1 lap ago, and he retakes the lead once again. What a fantastic battle this is between David Perel and Charles Leclerc, considering Charles Leclerc only just got this game He's not going along too badly, is it? That's not me saying that surprise. I've got to say, we all expected Charles Leclerc to be fighting at the front, didn't we, given his credentials. David Perel, almost an expert, you could say, on this game is David Perel, so really knows what he's doing, and to have Charles Leclerc battling with him as hard as he is really impressive. Pizzitola is there in 6th place, Chatan just ahead as they make their way up the S's and now downhill towards the right-hander. Good racing between these two as well, so we have 3 groups of 2 between the top 6 at the moment. Morrow, a little bit of contact there. Cheeky that from Pizzitola. Didn't look intentional, I don't think, but Chatan certainly felt the force of it. This is NASCAR camping truck driver there, Michel Disdier. Fabriziola, of course, races in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, finished on the podium in that at the World Final last year. Porsche, I think I've said this a couple of times, but it now does look like he has potentially made the break for 3rd place. But when we come back to that, we will confirm. Chatan likewise seems to have just got away a little bit from Pizzitola, so he can now try and get his head down and try and bring himself closer to that battle for 3rd place. With the pace that battle is going on at, you'd have to say Chatan, with the pace he showed in qualifying, he's definitely got a chance to get involved in that battle for 3rd if it continues as it is. Now, between the leaders, they are still very close together. I wonder if Charles Leclerc has just decided to take a breather. He's a couple of car lengths behind, just from what I saw as they exited that corner. Similar to the gap we're seeing here, actually, between Theo Pourchaire and Arthur Leclerc. These two used to racing each other, actually, are Theo Pourchaire and Arthur Leclerc. Arthur Leclerc finished 3rd in the ADAC F4 Championship last year, which was won by Theo Pourchaire. So Pourchaire won the championship in that, beat Leclerc in that title hunt. And I think Leclerc would want to get one back over him here as, a little bit too much curb taken there for Pourchaire. We now go back to the Perel versus Leclerc scrap as they come through the chicane one more time. Both inch perfect through there. I almost spoke too soon. Leclerc wrestling with his Ferrari there to try and keep it in a straight line, and just about gets away with it. I think it's fair to say he'll be taking a very deep breath there, I'm sure, after that one, as Perel just flirting with disaster coming out of the final corner. You can see him immediately getting over to the left of the circuit. He's actually set a new fastest lap there as David Perel. In fact, that was Leclerc, my apologies, 136.043. So Charles Leclerc with a fastest lap, now right on the back of Davy Perel as they come out of that chicane down towards the very tricky double right-hander. I don't think Leclerc's going to be in a position to do a move here. He's able to take his time with this one, isn't he? You can see to the left of your screen, just under Leclerc's name, 3.9. That is the gap he has to Theo Pourchaire. So Leclerc has plenty of room to play with behind him here. He can really plan out his attack on Davy Perel, who's just going to be trying to escape if he can. Here we now look back at Pourchaire and Arthur Leclerc. I wonder if there was a mistake from Arthur Leclerc. Didn't quite catch what his last lap time was. It was a personal best last time for Pizzitola, though. Chatan has managed to hang with him, so I wouldn't be surprised if likewise Paul-Loup Chatan put in a PB as well. 2.5 tenths between these two would hopefully pick up the gap between Chatan and Engel. Looks at least a couple of seconds as they head down towards the chicane. Looking at Pizzitola versus Paul-Loup Chatan here. Paul-Loup Chatan, the 28-year-old reigning LMP2 champion in the European Le Mans Series, is Paul-Loup Chatan, and he's all over the back of Pizzitola here, the 27-year-old from Montpellier. Pizzitola now having to defend going into the final corner. Pizzitola has competed in the 24 Hour of Le Mans 3 times now in the LMP2 class, taking 10th place last year with Algarve Pro Racing. He's also raced in the European Le Mans Series for the last 4 seasons as well. So these two used to racing each other in that championship, and they are certainly having good fun out there, aren't they, Pizzitola and Paul-Loup Chatan? Down towards that very tricky double right-hander we go now, and Pizzitola for now, has just a little bit of a break. So, as I said, raced in the European Le Mans Series for the last 4 seasons and won that championship in 2018 with G-Drive Racing. His teammates actually that year included Jean-Eric Verne. But away from that and back to these two, David Perel versus Charles Leclerc. Downhill we go once more, this on lap number 6 of 10, already into the second half of the race, and David Perel, I've run out of times how many times he's passed Leclerc and vice versa, but Perel now goes back into the race lead. So David Perel hits the front on lap number 6. We're into the second half of this main race now, and Leclerc is now going to have to once again try and get back past Perel. So we must have missed a move, unless my memory with that Pizzitola and Chatin Bustle is mistaking me, but we must have missed a move between these. Perel back ahead of Charles Leclerc, but when they get onto this start-finish straight, Leclerc should be able to use the toe to go back past again. Wonder what the gap is to Theo Pourchaire. Actually, we'll try and pick that up shortly, as Pourchaire, you can see there, absolutely on his own now, Theo Pourchaire. He can see these two battling, and in his head he's just thinking, keep going. Well, what's happened to Arthur Leclerc? He's actually dropped down the field. Oh, Charles Leclerc getting a little bit out of shape, but Arthur Leclerc seems to have had a problem, and he is now dropped down to 5th place. Not really too sure what's happened to Arthur Leclerc there. A spin perhaps, but whatever did happen, I'm sure we'll see him fighting back at the front with the leaders soon. Well, let's go back to the top 2 then, as now up the S's we go. David Perel versus Charles Leclerc downhill once more, and Perel having to defend here. Charles Leclerc looking to the outside, and hearing Arthur Leclerc a little bit of a problem somewhat, but what a move that is. Charles Leclerc now trying to go round the outside of David Perel, the two almost rubbing door handles now as we go down to the chicane. This is going to be very brave if Charles Leclerc can do it, and he's through. So Charles Leclerc through the chicane he goes, and he's now back into the lead once more. So Charles Leclerc up to the last corner, now leads the way on lap number 7 of 10 here as they make their way round the last corner. Charles Leclerc leading David Perel on lap number 7 of 10 now, as down towards the start-finish line we go. We now go on to lap number 8 here of 10. So only 3 laps to go, and you can see in the background Theo Pourchaire is starting to get a little bit closer. He's only 2.5 seconds back now, as here comes David Perel down the inside. Charles Leclerc just about managing to hold on round the outside, but that's going to delay him on the exit, and getting a little bit out of shape with Charles Leclerc there. Here comes David Perel once more up to the right-hander, and Perel is now back through. Meanwhile, Pourchaire in the background gets closer and closer. This is going to turn between a 2-way fight to a 3-way fight very, very shortly, but I can tell you, I am not complaining about that at all. I'd love to see these two battling all day. Absolutely fantastic to watch between Perel and Charles Leclerc, as up the S as we go. Pourchaire gets closer once more, and you just know that Charles Leclerc now, he's going to be looking in his mirrors, and he can see Pourchaire's car getting bigger and bigger in his rear view mirror, and that is not going to be a good sign for him at all, as Charles Leclerc there just getting out of shape coming out of the right-hander. Pourchaire, you'd have to say this is now a 3-way fight. Pourchaire is now as close to Leclerc as Charles Leclerc. Oh, Pourchaire, oh, he's gone into the barriers a little bit there. Theo Pourchaire just seemed to get his judgment wrong through the chicane. Tried to back out of it last minute. Here's Pizzitola. He was also glancing the barriers once again there. That's going to lose him a lot of time. You can see what that does to your speed when you do that. Engel is going to close in. Here's Fabrice Pantani, Michel Disdier. We haven't really talked a lot about him in this race. There is Michel Disdier in 9th place at the moment. And sadly, Sbieazzuoli has had a real race to forget here. He's some 10 seconds back from 9th place, but we go to the leaders because we now are on the penultimate lap of the race. Perel ahead of Charles Leclerc. Pourchaire likewise close as well, but actually what's happened to Theo Pourchaire? He's now dropped away from Charles Leclerc, so it appears Pourchaire has made a mistake somewhere, and his chances of now fighting for the race win seem to be vanishing. I wonder if he actually had a go at passing Leclerc there, and it hasn't quite paid off. So either or, I wouldn't like to speculate unless we knew for sure. But here is Artur Leclerc. He definitely had some sort of problem somewhere, didn't he? Not too sure exactly what happened to him. Actually, Artur Leclerc, imagine a mistake somewhere, or fighting with Theo Pourchaire. He ran into problems, but either way, he's now actually on the back foot. So this is going to be another great battle for us to watch going into the last lap of the race between he, Paul-Loup, Chatham, and also behind that, Pizzitola as well. Oh no! Artur Leclerc's gone round. It's a spin for Artur Leclerc, unfortunately, and he is going to be out of the race, I think, here, Artur Leclerc. He's not going to get going again, and that's a real shame for Artur Leclerc. Sadly, he is going to be out of the race, and I believe he is. So Artur Leclerc out of the race, unfortunately. We go on to the last lap, though. We'll pick that up at the end of the race, potentially. But David Perel versus Charles Leclerc, it is for the win of the main race here in the Live from Monaco GT Series. Use the hashtag Live from Monaco. Let us know what you've been thinking of this race. Who do you think is going to take the win? Drop it in the comments. Perel versus Leclerc it is, as we now go down through the double right-hander once more. Perel does have a little bit of a gap, doesn't he? He's Leclerc's not close enough to force Perel into defensive mode here. Oh no, what's happened to Pourchaire? Pourchaire running into problems. Pizzitola has gone into third place. Mauro Engel now all over the back of Theo Pourchaire as well. There we can see Engel to the right of your screen there. Looks pretty relaxed, doesn't he, considering this is the last lap of the race, and he's fighting with Theo Pourchaire for fourth place. Engel smiling there. He's definitely enjoying this, as are we. This is fantastic to watch. Side by side they are through the S's. Theo Pourchaire there just trying to force out Mauro Engel now as they head downhill once more. Mauro Engel, but back to the leaders. Perel, well, he's kept his cool on this last lap despite the pressure from Charles Leclerc. Davy Perel has kept calm, and he has taken risks where he's had to. He's made the moves when it was right, and Davy Perel is going to walk away with a very, very comfortable victory. I'm not too sure what happened to Charles Leclerc on the last lap, but David Perel is going to win the Live from Monaco GT Series main race here at Dragon Trail. Fantastic drive from Perel. Leclerc finishes second, Pizzitola third, Pourchaire, Engel, Chatham. Then we have Pantani, Disdier, Sbieazzuoli. I'm hearing that Artur Leclerc had a connection error, so sadly he's out of the race. But Perel, Leclerc and Pizzitola are your top three. What a fantastic way to start the Live from Monaco GT Series. Here's Fabrice Pantani. He comes across the line in second. Here is Disdier as well. He finishes 8th. As we can see, Leclerc's had a bit of a connection issue, but Sbieazzuoli will finish in 9th place. Davy Perel, we're going to let him catch his breath back very quickly, and then we are actually going to go over and hear from him.